where do they spend most of their time this week in Indy, Nick? Obviously, Andy Weidel frequents the trenches, whether that's offensive or defensive lines when it comes to, the combine, pro day, things of that nature. I would assume that they look at wide receiver. How do you see them kind of attacking the combine as far as what position groups to look at? What position groups should they be looking at, given the need on the roster and what's available in the draft class?
Well, I think wide receiver is going to be the big one, obviously. They need multiple wide receivers. So feels like that one's going to be a need going to the draft no matter what. I think corner is going to be a spot that they're going to look heavily at, and they should look at corner pretty heavily. James Pierre and Asante Samuel Jr., both free agents. Guard, we'll see what they kind of do there with Isaac Seumalo being a free agent. Safety, I think, is another one. I think there's a lot of questions about that safety room going into this year. It's a really good safety class. I think defensive tackle is another one that they were going to look at. I think one of the really good things for the Steelers about this class is it's deep at the positions they need. It's very deep at defensive tackle, very deep at corner, very deep at safety, very deep at wide receiver. So they have really even deep at guard. Like they have really their top 5 needs. It is a deep class for. Quarterback is not deep at all, and there's really no top outside of Fernando Mendoza. But that one, I'm assuming they're also going to do plenty of work on. I think they're going to do as much work on the quarterback class as they can. They'll probably look at Ty Simpson as much as possible. They'll look at Garrett Nussmeier. They'll look at Drew Aller. They'll look at Cade Klubnik, Cole Payton. Any name you want to throw out there, I think they're going to heavily look into that. So they'll probably do plenty of leg work as well in the quarterback class. But my guess is, and this is kind of the vibe I'm getting from them, they are going to look more outside the trenches this year. I think it's going to be wide receiver, corner, safety. That's kind of the 3, I think. They've been so trench-focused in recent years, and I'm sure we're going to see 2 or maybe even 3 picks with 12 picks from the trenches just because naturally I think that's part of what they do. But I think this offseason is going to be pretty heavily focused on the skill positions on both sides of the ball to try and strengthen those units.
That's music to my ears when it comes to how they should attack the draft, but they do have a need at guard. Isaac Seumalo, TBD. Joel has a question for you when it comes to free agents in that realm of football. Go ahead, Jolie.
Yeah, Nick, I always thought Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio from the Browns were a pair of the more underappreciated, offensive linemen in the league. Nothing flashy, just solid starters on their position. So if you think do you think there's any kind of value in the Steelers going after one or both of those guys?
Yeah, I think Bitonio is going to be really decide between Cleveland or retirement. So I'm going to guess he's not going to hit the market. Still a very good player. Wyatt Teller's an interesting case because I think in 2024 he started to fall off a little bit. He was hurt. He had a few injuries. He was benched this year, which I think really kind of popped up on the radar late for me. But he was not good this year. That's going to be something. But he's a bounce back candidate. I think he could get a change of scenery. And he's the type of guy I think that you would want to invest in. I don't think he's going to break the bank, so I'm totally down with that. It's not a bad guard free agency class. You mentioned Teller. There's going to be guys like John Simpson I think is really interesting. He's had a lot of injuries, but Elijah Vera Tucker I think is a really good buy low candidate. I think he could be a really legitimately good starter in the NFL if he could stay healthy. There's other guys I think that are going to join that crew. I think, guys like Mekhi Becton are probably going to get cut. That could fit into that. So I think that, they definitely can explore this guard market. It's not barren. There's enough guys there, and not all these guys are going to completely blow up the market. And I think that's really important. Seumalo is going to probably be one of the more expensive guards, if not the most expensive guard on the market this offseason, just because he is, I think, a top, half the league guard, and those are really valuable nowadays. I could totally see him coming back. But, as you mentioned, Teller and some of these other guys, I think, are certainly worthy of looking on that. And I think the Steelers should have a veteran guy in there before the draft, and then they can decide what they want to do from there. And they already have a young guy on the roster. They have Spencer Anderson. So it's not like it's totally just there's nothing there, right? You have a young guy that had the best season of his career that could theoretically start left guard if you wanted him to.
What's a market for James Daniels potentially look like? I mean, he's 28, obviously an injury-ridden 2025 in Miami. Didn't play in pretty much all season except for one game. He gets cut. He signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with Miami, $8 million a year. He made close to $9 million a year with the Steelers from 2022, 2024. Would you kick the tires on a reconciliation there, given the fact that he's only 28 years old, despite the injury history?
You could. I mean, he played all 4 snaps this year, tore his pec, and then was done. I mean, that is pretty brutal, man. He's played 4 snaps really in the last year and a half. He tore his Achilles the year before. What's his movement skills look like? Does he look like he still can play at a high level? Because I remember before he tore his Achilles in Indianapolis that year, he was playing out of his mind. I mean, he was going to get a massive contract before that injury, which is why he got $8 million per year after a torn Achilles. That kind of speaks to that. So, I mean, I talked about Elijah Vera Tucker being a buy low candidate. I mean, he is also a buy low candidate. There are a few of those in the guard market. You know, Wyatt Teller, I think, fits into that just because of what's happened with him. There's a few guys that are buy low that could really outperform their expectations relative to the market. I can't imagine James Daniels getting that much money. I mean, 1 year prove it deal, maybe for like $3 million. Like, that's the market for him. It's not going to be crazy. And so the Steelers could certainly make it and try and see if he can be someone that can be the solution there at left guard. He's played left guard before. Obviously, he played right guard with the Steelers, but he has played left guard in his career before. So it's not like you're asking him to do something new either. So I'm certainly, at least he's on my radar, but I'm interested to see what they do at guard, because I do think that's going to be one of the, I can't put my finger exactly on what they're going to do, whether it's bring back Isaac Seumalo, try and hit it in free agency and the draft. There's a few different ways they can go about that.
Last one for Nick Farabaugh, PennLive.com. Your plan of attack for Indianapolis. What are you going to focus on? What kind of things do you anticipate asking, writing, things of that nature? What is Nick Farabaugh keeping his eye on next week when you head out to Lucas Oil in the city of Indianapolis?
Well, there's a few things I really want to focus on, and I really want to dive into those 2 positions I mentioned, really 3, wide receiver, corner, and safety. I think that's where my focus is going to be. There are so many names in those groups, Jack. You know, at wide receiver, it's not just McKylum and Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson. There's so many guys on day 2 and day 3 that are under the radar. I mean, I'm not even sure it's been talked about enough. Omar Cooper from Indiana, you know who his college wide receivers coach was to start his career, was Adam Henry, who's the Steelers wide receivers coach. Like, that's one that's not talked about enough. So stuff like that. Corner, I mean, there's so many different types of corners. There's slots. There's really good slots. Guys like D'Angelo Pons and Keontae Scott, Avion Terrell, who can play inside or outside. There's a lot of diversity there. And then the safety class, like, we don't really see a lot of safety classes with the top and depth that this one has, because you have guys like Caleb Downs. And then you have, outside of that, you have like Dylan Thieneman and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, and there's so many other guys on day 2 and day 3 that fit into that, like Bud Clark and others that are just really going to be good players. And so I'm just really eager to kind of dive my teeth into that aspect of it. I'll still focus on some of the trenches. I think you have to. The Steelers do have depth needs at the defensive line. They still have needs at tackle and guard if they wanted to. But the skill groups are really where I'm going to focus, because the absolute depth of those classes, I mean, those are 3 of the strongest positions in this entire group. And then I think the one other position that maybe I don't think the Steelers, if you listed the top 5 needs the Steelers had right now, would you put inside linebacker in there? I'm not sure you would.
No.
So you know what happens with Patrick Queen. This is an unbelievable inside linebacker class. There is a really good depth to this class. There's going to be a lot of guys taken on day 2 and day 3 that are going to have legitimate impacts. So I'm actually just looking forward to getting into that inside linebacker class. I've watched a good bit of those guys, but just getting to talk to them, kind of get a feel for them. That inside linebacker group is going to be a fun one.